Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It's getting late and I'm sure your ice cream is melting somewhere, so I will keep it short and a little bit sweet, although of course we are here for a rather serious purpose. I used to spend a lot of time in this space when I was small and cute. My father would take me here on his spare weekends. I remember we would start at the Natural History Museum and then we would cross the road and come here, and he would explain to me that that was the past and this was the future. Of course, as a serious, thoughtful person, he reminded me that the future might be perhaps even as scary as some of those dinosaurs ripping each other to bloody pieces across the road. The future is unknown. And here, of course, we have an example. I just spotted this. Cars, which are a gift of science and technology, and they can be pretty useful. I also have the V2 rocket next to me, which doesn't really have any conceivable useful purpose at all. It's a weapon of mass destruction. Nazi technology. They had better scientists than anybody. In this space, we experience something of the anxiety of the modern world. Things are not settled. We can't imagine the future. We have more treats, but there are also more threats. What will happen with North Korea? What will happen with global warming? It's all a little bit uncertain. Well, something I certainly didn't expect as a cute little boy was to be here and to see you and to be celebrating the achievement of a first-rate major UK charity, something that comes from the heart and the pockets of a community that is often disregarded, underestimated, poorly understood, and which has established itself as a major player in the expanding world of international relief and development. It is an achievement. I suppose when Muslims started coming here in significant numbers 40, 50 years ago, many of them, as they started to feel coins jingling in their pockets, thought about what they could do for back home. And there were some who thought we need to reform their politics. And so they created little local branches of various jamaats that were existing in their own countries and sent them money and ideas and published for them and wished them well. Nothing really has come of that. Nothing at all. I can't think of a single Muslim country where UK Muslim politicking has made different facts on the ground. But the others were thinking also of the larger ummah and of the need of those who didn't come here particularly. And they took the other path, which was the path of humanitarian development. And that is why it is you who are here and not those who are playing politics. Islamic Relief has discovered, as does, I think, just about everybody who sincerely and for the love of that strange but ultimately lovable beast, humanity, comes to discover that there is a special blessing in helping the weakest. And blessings are always hard to define, but you know them when they're present. Politics divides, humanitarian aid unites. It doesn't really matter what your belief is, if you're hungry, it feels more or less the same. Politics creates rivalries. It often goes catastrophically wrong. Humanitarian aid tends to be successful. So there's a special blessing which I feel is here tonight, and I'm honored to be with you and to, inshallah, imbibe some of the blessings which Islamic Relief has accumulated through over 30 successful and indeed blessed years. Perhaps there's a lesson for the future then, the uncertain future of the British Muslim Ummah. Politics hasn't worked, it doesn't work. Community rivalries serve nobody except perhaps our enemies who wish to see us bickering. But charity, helping the weak, making a difference not just to Muslim humanity but to all the sons and daughters of Eve, seems to be something that works, that succeeds, that allows us to create big institutions, that even gets us occasionally a positive write-up in the press. That is, I believe, the door which Islamic Relief and the others have opened, and through which we must urge all the British Muslims to pass. Of course, here we're also thinking about Ramadan this evening, and we are right on its doorstep. It's hurtling towards us in all of its serene and sometimes awe-inspiring majesty. We're on the doorstep of the great palace of Ramadan with those 30 rooms which we walk through sedately, soberly, one after the other. And Ramadan brings so many gifts, and like the deepest gifts, it's hard to express them and put them into words, but we all have that feeling at the end of Ramadan, what a shame that this atmosphere is not going to stay with us. And you even hear little kids saying that. There's a lesson in that. But also Ramadan is about something that the modern world really needs, and that aid agencies certainly need to be promoting, which is the realization that human greed is more or less limitless. Human resources, the world's resources, are, despite the divine bounty and giving us this amazing blue ball of a planet, finite. And that we need to walk gently upon the earth. It's a Greenpeace slogan. I once phoned them and said, do you know where your slogan comes from? Walk gently upon the earth. This is back in the 80s. وَعِبَادُ الرَّحْمَنِ الَّذِينَ يَمْشُونَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ هَوْنًا وَإِذَا خَاطَبَهُمُ الْجَاهِلُونَ قَالُوا سَلَامًا. The servants of the merciful God are those who walk gently on the earth. When the ignorant address them, they just say peace. Ramadan reminds us of this, and reminds us also of that most challenging aspect of the life of the blessed founder, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, which was his poverty, his neediness, the fact that he too was a refugee, that he too sought asylum in the blessed city of Medina, that he too was threatened with his life and escaped across the trackless wastes of Arabia for 3 weeks with his faithful companion when the Quraysh were desperate to do him to death. He too has experienced that. He has been an outcast, rejected, a stranger in his own country, coming to Medina with nothing at all and building his mosque on the land of those two orphans. You should look that story up because it's so moving. He builds what becomes now Al-Haram al-Nabawi, the prophetic mosque. May heaven allow all of us to visit it many times. The second biggest building in the world now. The biggest is apparently the Boeing factory in Seattle. Second biggest is the prophetic mosque, and it's, mashallah, all gold and precious stones. It's a wonder. He built that most amazing place on a patch of ground that was owned by a couple of orphans. Throughout his seerah, throughout his life, we find that not only was he concerned for the poor, but he was one of them and prayed to be resurrected amongst them. And in Ramadan we have a little bit of that, a taste of it, because we do actually learn what it is to be hungry. We actually learn firsthand what it is not to be able to drink a glass of water on a hot day. We don't suffer very much, but we do get some kind of lived empathy with the poor. And there is a brokenness that comes of that, a humility that reminds us of the humility of the chosen one, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and that truly to follow him means to put your hand in your pocket as somebody who has also suffered, and to support the activities of a great and blessed agency such as Islamic Relief. So many countries which have been turned around in so many dimensions of their activities, amongst the poorest of the poor, by charities such as this, a blessed act indeed. And now, even in Cambridge, you might think Cambridge is not exactly suffering from the drought of the African sun, but in Cambridge, my own little institution, Cambridge Muslim College, is also in partnership with Islamic Relief, because the new horizon is here. We need to be building up the Muslim community here. And we're so grateful to Islamic Relief for sponsoring one of our trainee imams who are going to, insha'Allah, raise the standard of the discourse and the sermons in Britain's mosque, which is essential if the community is to stride forward and take its rightful place in the national story. So this is a thank you as well. We do appreciate it. Without your generosity, our efforts would come to naught. So at the end, clearly a prayer, an aspiration, a reminder of the sober times that lie ahead, and a hope that God will open our hearts in this month to remember the needy, to make us generous the way the Holy Prophet was in Ramadan. كان أجود ما يكون في رمضان. He was at his most generous in Ramadan. وَلَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ أَجْوَدُ بِالْخَيْرِ مِنَ الرِّيحِ الْمُرْسَلَةِ. The companion said he was quicker in giving charity than the wind, which is the fastest thing in Arabia. It just came freely. Thus was his giving, and this was his practice in Ramadan. So as well as sacrificing by losing a few pounds perhaps, we can lose a few pounds financially as well and contribute to this wonderful cause, also with our prayers, because the world is shaky. We don't know which aspect of science is going to dominate our future. Global politics are looking very strange, but it's always clear that anything given, time, money, resources, prayers to humanitarian aid is something that will serve humanity in this world, and inshallah allow Allah's generous harvest to come our way in the akhirah, inshallah. So thank you all very much, and may Allah bless you and bring you all together in the spirit of Ramadan and make us truly servants, not just of the ummah, but of all humanity, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.